They would unbandage the wound, break away blood clots that had formed, and drink blood once again. 4 nights. Ah, shoot! I forgot to wipe that, didn't I? Ah, hell with it. Ooh, I got to cut down on my salt. A little bit of cholesterol in there too, you know, but that's understandable. Fat-free blood tastes like crap. 4 nights in a row they did this. 4 times they drained her blood. The 4th night, for one reason or another, they left her left arm untied. When the brothers disappeared during the day, she escaped the building and reported the crime. Now the police came back to search the building, only to find that the brothers were still gone, but someone else was there. In a room right next to where the little girl had been held were 4 more victims tied to chairs. 2 adults, a man and a woman, a 14-year-old boy, and a dead 9-year-old girl. Just a little younger than you. The corner of that room was a stack of 17 dead bodies, stacked up like cordwood and covered with a tarp. None of these 17 dead had been dead more than 2 weeks. Just the midnight snacks of the previous 2 weeks. So the police removed the dead bodies, took the injured off to the hospital, took the dead off to the morgue. When the brothers returned, they were arrested, indicted for 18 murders and 4 assaults, tried, convicted, and executed in the electric chair at Angola State Prison. Now, a doctor confirmed their death with a stethoscope over the heart. Failing to find a heartbeat, he declared them dead. They were taken away and entombed out at St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 in the natural Creole above-ground fashion. Now, that brings me to the end of an interesting serial killer story. That's all there was to it. It's not. Since their funeral, those brothers have been seen in that apartment on 22 documented occasions. 22 times people come home from a night on the town, find 2 men walking around in the apartment. Now sometimes men grapple with the brothers, attempting to prevent these alleged intruders from escaping, but they seem strong. They would toss men our size aside like we weighed nothing and disappear in the night while all you women scream on and on and on. Of course it's true, sometimes today in the French Quarter, the men scream and the women grapple with them. You know, sparkles. It's the joke that keeps coming back. But the description identically matches that of our brothers, and the police find no sign of broken entry, no windows broken, doors jimmied, and the descriptions identically match. So, is this a ghost story or a vampire story? Well, I can tell you the tombs of the Carter brothers were found empty a year after their funeral, still sealed from the funeral, brick, mud. Whoa, still leaking, dear. See, trying to impress you guys, I got carried away tonight. Still sealed from the funeral, but no dust, no bone fragments, no sign they'd been used at all. So how do we make sense of this? Is this a ghost story or a vampire story? Well, let's look at the story of the survivors. The way you become a vampire in legend is different than it is in fiction. Unfortunately, amongst our community, there are a lot of little baby bats that like to, we call blood fetishists. They like to cut their flesh and feed their blood to each other, thinking that that's what it means to be a vampire, and it's not. No vampire ever offers you his blood. You become a vampire by surviving the feeding of a real vampire. If a vampire drinks your blood and you die, you're just dead. Comforting, isn't it? But if it drinks your blood three times and you don't die, you might become a vampire yourself. 5 times you don't die, you probably turn. After the 7th time, you're doomed to become a vampire yourself. Well, my friends, the adult male survivor of that attack, Philippe Troupont, survived 9 feedings. If 7 feedings guarantees vampirism, what do you call the 9th time? The bonus class? Extra credit? Uber golf? Vampire with benefits, a union man? Philippe Troupont, the adult male survivor of that attack, became the most prolific, my hand's going numb now, became the most prolific serial killer our city has ever seen. Between 1934 and 1949, he murdered 33 people, killed them, and drank their blood, and dissolved their dead bodies in tubs of sulfuric acid. leaving them in the acid till they turned into a thick foaming sludge that would undulate across the top of the acid, foaming pink, white, and delicious red. The only way we know what he did was he confessed to it in his journal. His journal was found hidden in his building years after he had disappeared from our city. The final entry in that journal stated that he had just read a newspaper article about a man in London named John George Haig, the acid bath vampire of London. John Haig was doing the same thing in London that he was doing here, but they caught John Haig and executed him. Philippe Trepont vanished from our city, never to return. His final entry said he was going to, perhaps, Chicago. Yes, there were many homeless people there, he said, people that no one would ever miss. I'm not trying to tell you he became a vampire, but I haven't told you tonight that ghosts or vampires in fact exist. But you heard the facts of our city. 37 people in that first building murdered in a single night. No one heard a scream. That's a fact. It's a fact that a young man forgot his checkers. And you gotta keep them close at hand. You never know when a game's gonna break out. It's a fact something happened at our convent medical science can't duplicate. It's a fact. The Carters drank the blood of their victims, and one of their victims went on to drink blood himself, and it's a cold, hard, undeniable fact. The Tom Cruise about that big right there. I'm sorry, I gotta bring that joke back from time to time. Now, I'm gonna give you a quote from an old TV show. Try to sum this up. I'm gonna loosen the bandage and pump my hand. The quote goes like this: "What a wonderful thing humanity is. Intelligent," there it goes, "inquisitive, generous, nobler spirit, full of hope and joy. But above all else, humanity is delicious." This concludes Vampire Street Theater for the evening. Now, if you enjoyed it, recommend me. I don't advertise this tour. I have a website, and that's it. You can't find brochures anywhere in the city of New Orleans advertising my tour. I get all of my customers from word-of-mouth advertising. Go home and tell your friends. Leave a review on TripAdvisor.com. Go to your hotel concierge and tell them many different tours exist in this city, but you chose to take the one with this sick bastard. Ask them why I don't blink, because I still haven't. Ask them why I do what I do to my own flesh. Ask them why my skin is cold in the heat of summer. Ask them why my pulse stopped. Oh, there it goes again. Why my pulse stopped at my command. The main question to ask them, however, is, how can I possibly heal that quickly? But if you recommend me, I'll stay in business. If I stay in business, you won't ever have to worry that I'll move to your hometown and be the one to say, "You want fries with that?" I don't think you want me serving you food.
Bravo.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, of course, if you didn't enjoy the tour, keep that to yourselves. Stick around if you've got questions for me, if you want to examine. If you look very closely, you can see exactly where I did it, but it's completely closed already. You've been a wonderful audience, a performer's dream. I simply leave you with this thought: Happy Halloween and pleasant dreams.